Okay, guys, let's move on to a Saturday night game. Boy, Florida State against Oklahoma State. This is going to be the hottest thing going on Saturday night outside of Sean Hess's bedroom. We've got a Florida State team that is a 17-point favorite now up to, 18 or 19, and the total still sitting there at 63. And what can you say about Florida State? 14-0 last year, straight up 11-3 against the spread. Boatload of talent for Jimbo Fisher, returning 7 starters back on offense and 7 on defense. The quarterback Winston had 40 touchdowns and only 10 interceptions. It really looked loaded. So, Sean, I guess there's something that you have in common with these Florida State players. Both of you are capable of running the table if you both stay out of jail. How do you see this game?
I haven't done that in a long time, longer than most of these guys are. First of all, this game is at a neutral site. And you're right, Florida State opened generally at 17.5. The total pretty solid, 63. I have seen as much as 18.5, and I think one store here in town has it at 19. The game is actually at Arlington, Texas. I believe that's Jerry Jones country. Let's take a look at Oak State first. Mike Gundy is the head coach in his 10th year. And he's great against the numbers, 62, 44-2 against the spread, which is very good. Last year, 10-3 straight up, 7-5 against the bookie. But a very young team, only 4 starters back on each side of the ball, and only 6 starters have 10 or more career starts. So it's kind of a rebuilding mode for them. Florida State, there's probably not much I can tell you that you don't already know. National champs, Heisman Trophy winner after that great non-covering game against Auburn, but it was still an exciting game. Quarterback, of course, is Winston. He returns. 4 starting returning offensive linemen, all seniors who collectively have 113 starts, and 7 people more return on the defense. Since 1999, the defending national champ. How about this? Anytime you take them, 15-0 straight up, winning by an average score of 44-13, which I believe covers this particular game. That's in their season opener. Likely to be more of the same here. Florida State 14-0 straight up, 10-3 against the numbers you mentioned last year, and the coach Jimbo Fisher in his 5th year. That seems to be kind of a magical number with coaches. It's a lot of points, but there's just no way. If you have to play the game, and I'm not going to, and I'll defer to Jeff on this, I would lay it before I would take it.
So you're leaning toward a potential blowout here.
Well, I don't see him losing the game, and I certainly see him winning by at least 14. And I just think, with that quarterback is just so talented, So, yeah, I would take Florida State if I had to, but it's not a big play for me.
Okay, Jeff, this is a very experienced Oklahoma State team. 6 starters back on offense, 7 on defense. They were very good last year, 10-3 straight up. They covered games, too, 8-5 against the spread. They were actually one of the best offenses in the country, 39 points per game. That was 15th in the country. Their defense was a little bit underrated, too. They were 19th in the nation in points allowed, 21.6. So are the Cowboys getting too little respect here from odds makers?
Well, Mike Gundy is one of my favorite coaches, but he has a tough job ahead of him this year. They only turn 8 starters overall. And right now, as we speak, and as far as I know, they still haven't decided on a starting quarterback. Right now, it's either J.W. Walsh, Dex Garman, or Mason Rudolph. Walsh has the most experience, but he lost the job last year to Ted Shelf. Overall, Walsh had 9 TDs, 5 interceptions. The defense returns 4 starters. They lost 78% of their tackles last year. So this is a very tough way to start for an inexperienced team in a huge venue against the number 1 team, against a national champion. So 17.5 points is reasonable. Of course, as Sean said, Jameis Winston, 40 TDs, 10 interceptions, more than 4,000 yards. They do lose Kenny Shaw and Calvin Benjamin at wide receiver, but they still have Rashad Green and tight end Nick O'Leary to throw to. Carlos Williams, former safety, is going to be the running back. Last year he averaged 8 yards per carry. The defense, they have to replace Timmy Jernigan, but the Seminoles, as usual, did a great job of recruiting. They have to replace All-American Marcus Joyner in the backfield, but they're confident that Jalen Ramsey can fill in there. Ramsey had some problems a couple weeks ago. We got temporarily suspended because during a scrimmage he was putting some hard hits on his teammates. So his coach told him to cut it out and suspended him for a while, but everything's okay now. Last year, Florida State 11-2-1 against the spread. It'd be hard to do that again because there's going to be some line adjustments. So yeah, I can lay the 17 points in this game. I just think it's just too tough for Oklahoma State. They're too young, inexperienced, and in this kind of situation, I just can't take the points, and I'll go with Florida State.
Okay, I'm going to take a look, lean toward the total in this one. First of all, we know how dominant this Florida State defense was last year. Tremendous linebacking core. And then Oklahoma State overachieved last year. In fact, the last 2 years, they've been very good at forcing turnovers. They were 19th in the country in points allowed, and this defensive line should be very good with Castleman and Wren. And Florida State is on a 14-5 run under the total in non-conference games. Oklahoma State is 4-0 under the total in August games. And you know the old football betting adage, defenses can be ahead of the offenses early in the season. So it's a very, very high total. I think defenses for both teams are going to be decent this game, so I would lean toward the under.